Welcome in, everybody. Warchant TV, warchant.com for all your Florida State needs and beyond. I'm Jeff Cameron. That's my esteemed producer, Tom Lang. He also does a million things for warchant.com, director of content and all this other stuff, too. But we don't want to get into all these hoity-toity titles, do we? We want to look at the top 5. Actually, let's take a look back at what we did with the top 6 through 15, the last 6 through 15. There it is, Tom. Good job. Jaheim Bell came in just outside that top 5, telling you all exactly the impact we think he's going to have on this offense. Keon Coleman, another transfer in here at 7. Patrick Payton, Darrell Jackson, Jeremiah Byers, the latest guys that we revealed, followed by Robert Scott, Shaheem Brown, Renardo Green, Maurice Smith, and Kalen DeLoach. And now, I should say, since it's not on your screen, number 5 was Fabian Lovett. And good to talk about Fabian. I know you and Aslan did that one.
We did.
And Fabian's a kid that everybody's rooting for, right? It was kind of a surprise to get him to come back. Hated that he got injured in this game last year against LSU, a game now that's upcoming that we're looking forward to having his services for, along with that deep defensive line. But, man, Fabo, if he's right, this is a big, big year for him. It's a money year, so that was exciting. I'm glad you and Aslan got to do that one.
Yeah, and he's the anchor of the defensive interior, whether or not that's in production by the end of this season. I mean, let's be honest here. When you're talking about leader and you're talking about somebody who's going to set the tone for Florida State, there are a lot of unknowns. Darrell Jackson with the waiver at present when we're recording this. Braden Fisk transferring. How's he going to do against Power 5 week to week? And then Josh Farmer is on the ascent. But Fabian Lovett is going to be the rock that you're going to lean on. Hopefully he can be healthy for all 12 games this season.
So with that, let's go now and take a look at who weighs in at number 4 on our list. And here it comes on your screen now. Number 4, Trey Benson, who is a player that, Tom, I know we're all so excited to see. Let me say this. I'll give you my 2 cents on Trey Benson, number 4. You know, you almost work backwards with Trey Benson, but you go back and you look at the numbers from a year ago, and we all know he came up just that close to rushing for 1,000 yards. What I think changes this year for him is that these bouts of inconsistency are going to be gone. And for those at home, I'll point out, let's say we're using the game against LSU, for example, the big game we got coming up this year. He only had 6 carries. There was good reason for that. He looked lost in that game, like it was moving too quickly for him. He had games like that last year. The Wake game, he had 4 carries for 10 yards. You would have loved to have seen what he became happen in that game, but instead it was later on. He had 6 carries against NC State for just 25 yards, not really effective, averaged about 3 yards a carry there. It wasn't very good. You look at the Clemson game, I think he's going to be so much more impactful in that game this year. He wasn't bad in that game, but he had less than 10 carries in that contest and less than 70 yards rushing.
And he turned down a touchdown because he was cutting back. He didn't think he had the angle. This is one of the things that happened in the offseason with Coach David Johnson. Ira Schoffel did an interview with Coach Johnson that you can find on Warchant TV. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, you'll find it.
Yeah.
But about how many hundreds of yards Trey Benson left on the field by either not being decisive or trusting his top-end speed to pull away. And that's what happened in the Clemson game for Trey. But even with all that said, and even with Trayshawn Ward being the starter for the first half of the season,
right,
he almost got to 1,000 yards.
Yeah,
that tells you how scary potentially Trey Benson's production can be by season's end if Florida State was to commit to him being the bell cow in terms of 12 to 15, even just 12 to 15 carries a game. He could go for 1,200 to 1,500 yards for the season.
Well, their offensive line is going to be better than it was a year ago and deeper than it was a year ago. He's more sure of himself now. Remember, this was a guy coming back into college football, fresh off that knee injury, wasn't really sure until he got much later in the year. Something clicked. I think that what clicked was confidence in the knee, confidence to know I'm fine, I'm okay, I can let it go, He ends up, if you want to go back and look at the averages late in the year, Tom, it's 5.5, 5, 9.5, 8.5, 6.7, 9.9. This is where you start to see him really come on. And it's the tale of two halves. It's really a kid who began to believe, emerged as the season went along. Well, now you think about it, he enters this season with that confidence and that belief because he's off these great games. Interesting, he wasn't the star, though, of the Oklahoma game, so he still has something to prove.
There is something to prove, and he's going to be listed at around 220 pounds this year. That's his ideal playing weight, but he combines the size with the top-end speed. He's one of the fastest players on the roster. So the question is, how versatile of a weapon is he going to be as a pass catcher this year? And is he going to be, again, the guy that the offense features as the running back, where he gets 70% of the carries? Or is it still going to be a hot hand thing? And my question to you, I guess, is because he comes in number 4. Number 4 was the peak in terms of individual votes on the Warchant staff, but the low vote was you at 10. Are you hedging against the Trayshawn Ward effect of last year, or that Mike Norvell's offense likes to move the ball around to different backs? Why is it 10 and not somewhere closer to the top 5 for you?
That is the answer. The backfield is loaded. You've got a lot of options there. Certain games, other guys may be better suited for what the defense is giving. Now, I think Trey will be the most consistent of that bunch, but the football gets moved around, man. There are so many talented players on this offense. One of them is at quarterback. And, you know, if you think about all the yards Jordan Travis can have, is capable of having on the ground as well, it kind of takes away from the impact that a singular running back is going to have. Now, again, Trey will be the most successful of those running backs. I believe that. It's just one football to be shared with an elite offense. You know, I think they've got 4 legitimate running backs that will get the football this year and see consistency of carries or opportunities anyhow. And then I think you've got, you know, again, 2 new tight ends to go along with the emergence of Biscuit. So that's 3 in the room that are going to get the football. The wide receiving core has been revamped. Again, a lot of guys going to get this football not named Trey Benson.
Yeah, you could hand the ball off to some of the receivers. And hell, one of those 2 new tight ends ran the ball a lot at South Carolina. So that's potentially there. If
that was the answer, though. That's why. Yeah.
It's not about in short yardage. If it's 3rd and goal from the 2, that's the thing that's missing for me. I had Trey at 6, not all the way at 4. Just because, again, you have so many weapons, and I think the trench players probably value out higher than a skill position player. When you have more of them, they're worth a little bit less in the hierarchy, but I still have Trey at 6 because if he can be more decisive and if he can show in a 3rd and gotta-have-it situation that he's not going to be timid and try to bounce something, lower his shoulder, and run somebody over, I think he's going to like the result of what he sees, given his size and his profile. He's already got a mean streak to him. I remember his newcomer interview a year and a half ago at Florida State. He said, I can't wait to hit somebody. It wasn't, I can't wait to get hit. I can't wait to hit somebody.
Well, he runs that way.
If he embraces that more between the tackles, and Florida State's able to do that and push the line of scrimmage a little bit, but then he becomes that bruiser in addition to a player that can get on the outside and make you look silly, whether it's the counter runs or outside zone. If he can add that to his repertoire, 6 might be light. By the end of the season, you might say he's a top 3 player for Florida State. But right now, you got a hedge, I think.
Any of the top 10 players, though, I think when we do this top 10, top 5, really certainly when you get into that top 5, you're talking about guys that, you know, if the ball bounces a certain way or the games play out a certain way, could be number 1 or 2. Well, I guess nobody's going to really replace Jordan, but 2 to 5, I think they're all kind of interchangeable in a way. I mean, you've got guys that are going to be superstars of an elite offense. And so, again, Florida State does have the ability, and I think they're going to lean this way, Tom, to run the football against the vast majority of the teams. And this is the area that will hurt Jordan Travis in the Heisman race, but could help a guy like Trey Benson move up the ladder like you're talking about, because I think they want to run and run first. One of the things I love about this offense, and we talk about it being an offense where Mike Norvell does for playmakers, it's that there's a physical element to this. He wants to be a bruising offense to go along with the finesse of the passing game. You know, he was able to really kind of adapt his offenses at Memphis to personnel. We're already seeing signs that that's exactly what he's doing here at Florida State. So I get excited when we talk about this group. I get really excited about Trey Benson and certainly, hopefully, a 1,000-yard season.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question this year that he could become the 3rd leading rusher, single season, in Florida State history. Because right now in 3rd place is work done at 1,242 yards. He was at 990 with half a season as a starter. Trey Benson can easily fit into 3rd place. The question is, what would have to happen in order for Trey to be a top 2 or the number 1? Because the gulf between Warwick Dunn's top season and Dalvin Cook's is immense. Dalvin Cook, the record is 1,765 yards. I don't know that you're going to need Trey Benson to get that many.
You're not.
1,691 is that 2nd level. So I think he's got a shot, though, by season's end to be Florida State's number 3 single-season rusher in program history.
Well, and you think about the end of Dalvin's career, Jimbo rode that pony. He had to. Dalvin was a superstar. He was the best player we had. He was a guy that was so dynamic that even when the world knew the ball was going to him, they couldn't stop him. That's not this team. They've got so many guys. So to your point, he just won't have to be a guy that gets 25 carries a game, 30 carries a game. This ain't 1986 when we used to see running backs do that. That's the way the league ran. Nothing runs like that anymore, not professional football or even college football, really. Not when you have a loaded backfield. And Florida State's got 3 and 4 guys. One of those guys is one of your favorite players, one of the youngsters.
He's a little lower on the list, but not next year for Rodney Hill. He'll be a little higher on that list.
But Rodney Hill's the reason I also didn't have Trey Benson in the top 5, because I think Rodney Hill's going to get quite a few carries.
And Toafili's going to be on the field for so much.
Yeah, we're talking about Keziah Holmes and all these other guys that we kind of like. These are all guys that are going to get opportunities. Listen, we got individual videos like this one for all the top 5 guys. So you just saw Fabian Lovett. Tom and Aslan did that. Tom and myself now at number 4 with Trey Benson. We'll see Corey and Ira. Everybody gets an opportunity here as we rotate through these players and we take a look at this list. So you're going to want to make sure you like and subscribe to Warchant and Warchant TV. It's great content, man. You're going to want to know when it comes up next. So as always, Seminole Headlines, Jeff Cameron Show, Wake Up Warchant, all of the writings, all of the different stuff we got going on. Like and subscribe, warchant.com and Warchant TV. Until next time, Tom Lang, my man, Jeff Cameron. Be good, everybody.